Okay, day one. All right, so week one is going to include 2 days of lower body, 1 day of upper body. So we're starting today off with lower extremity. Like I said earlier, like we said earlier, we're starting this off with the dynamic warm-up, which you can see in the description below. Every single lower body day is going to start off with the dynamic warm-up. And that's just to get our glutes warmed up, activated, so they're firing during these movements and we're not relying on other structures and muscles and low back. Workout is in the description below if you are curious, and I will kind of talk through each of these to explain, not only explain how to do them, but why they're important, specifically for snow sports. So let's get started. Okay, so let's pretend that you just did the dynamic warm-up. Now we're going to get our glutes firing. So my two favorite movements for this are either a kettlebell swing, which you can look up on YouTube. There are people who are great at explaining that. Or if you have a nice band like this, it doesn't have to be a thick band, it could be anything. But ski jumpers are also a favorite of mine. So essentially what I've done, I've attached it to something that's solid here. I'm going to step into this. It's around my waist, like so. I'm going to step forward so there's some tautness or resistance in there. So have you ever seen those kind of Winter Olympic jumpers that jump off the skis and they do this deal? It's the same movement. We're focusing on squeezing those glutes, so both at the same time. So again, it's around my hips, kind of where those two pointy prominences in our pelvis are, and then stepping forward, wide stance. I'm hinging. Again, you can also look at that. We'll put that in the description, how to do that correctly. So I'm hinging back, arms out, neck in that nice neutral position. Hips come forward. I'm squeezing the bottom on the way up. This might look funny, but I promise if you do it enough, it'll burn. So again, with these, we can hit that 20-30 rep range. We're just trying to get those glutes firing at the right time, warmed up, lubricated, so to speak. Okay, move number one. So we're going back to the very basics of kind of the average snowboarding position, that squat sustained position. So we're going to start with single leg static wall squat. We're going to be holding it for, let's start with 15 seconds each. Switch, 15 seconds, switch legs, 15 seconds. So as you might assume, we are in that kind of sustained squat position while we're boarding. So we're going to start without anything, and then if that's too easy for you, you can do one of two things. You can increase the time, so you can increase that from 15 to 20 second holds, or I'll show you we're going to use a kettlebell and some uneven surface for some proprioception on our feet. So here we go. Feet are about shoulder width apart. I'm dropping back so my back and my bottom are touching the back of the wall, like so. Okay, you might need to move the foot that's being sustained towards the middle for balance. I'm about 90 degrees here, everything's firing. I'm raising this leg up as straight as I can possibly go, and I'm pushing my low back into the wall. So again, I'm holding this for 15 seconds. Okay, 15 seconds hits, I switch. 15 seconds, switch. Okay, get the idea? Good. Okay, so this is the more difficult version of that. So what I have here is just a folded up yoga mat. You can use anything like a pillow, clothing, whatever. Essentially, we're just creating an unstable surface, so it makes this work a little bit harder. I have a 10-pound kettlebell here. Okay, so same thing, shoulder width apart. I'm coming back down to that position. You can either hold the kettlebell close to your body, or you can hold it to one side, so then you're going to activate that core, work on that strength a little bit. So same thing, come down here, leg goes up. I have a kettlebell on the left side this time, and this is significantly harder for me. So again, I'm going to hold it here for 15 seconds, and then after that, I will switch. Okay, move number two. So the nice thing about snowboarding is your feet are attached, both feet at the same time, but truthfully, we are constantly rotating or not rotating, but shifting our weight from side to side, forward and back, heel side, toe side. So we are never truly using both legs at the same time. So this exercise, we call it the Star Excursion Balance Test. It's used for a number of things, but I love it for single leg strengthening, specifically in our hips, because we are doing a lot of single leg movement, you know, weight shifting while we're attached to our boards. So this is awesome. This is a favorite of mine. So how this works, you don't have to have fancy cones. You can use anything. You can use shoes, markers, pens, whatever. You're staying in the middle. I use 5 cones. You can choose to use however many you'd like, but 5 usually works pretty well for me. I'm going to start on my right side. So I'm balancing on that single right leg. I'm going to be in a nice slight squat stance. Okay, all I'm doing for this is with my left leg, I'm going to be touching each cone on the top. I touch it, come back to the middle. Touch, back to the middle. Okay, it will require some hip movement with it. Now, you can make this easier or more difficult based on where the cones are, so I can move them out even further. So I'll show you that. Okay, so it's going to require that I go into more of that squat position. You can also control it based on how low you are in that squat position. So a lot of balance here. This is burning already. So let's see if you can get through maybe 5 rounds and then take a break. And again, the key here is not for speed, it's quality over quantity every single time. So if you're racing through it as fast as you can, it doesn't matter. I bet you could, you know, set a speed record, but it's all about the quality, and I promise it'll be harder if you focus on that versus trying to get through it as fast as you can. All right? And then once you've done that 5 times, we're going to switch to the other side. That's considered one set for that particular exercise. I missed that last time. So move number 3, okay? This is the last of the specific strengthening exercises for today. You may have seen this in other videos of ours, but it's the offset squat using the kettlebell. You can utilize a dumbbell if you'd like, it doesn't really matter. This just fits a lot nicer in this pocket here, it's easier to hold. The point of this is, again, it's a full kind of lower body strengthening exercise. I like the offset squat though because it really activates that core and requires your shoulders to stay even. If you find yourself leaning to one side to hold that weight up, you're doing it wrong. I really want your shoulders to stay even on this. So it's basic squat. So I'll pick up the dumbbell here. It's in that nice, comfortable kind of loaded kettlebell position here in this pocket in my elbow. Okay, shoulders or feet are in that squat position. This ranges differently for everyone. For me, I like a little bit wider because I'm lacking a little dorsiflexion on my left side. Okay, so I also stay slightly kind of my toes out, externally rotated. That's comfortable for me. So do what's comfortable for you. Okay, I like to have my arm out for a counterbalance. Again, you can have it in front, you can have it to the side, you can have it behind your head, it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm keeping this elbow close to my body, kettlebell close to my body. I'm coming down. Once I hit about 90 degrees, you can go above or below depending on how you feel, how comfortable you feel. Okay, again, it doesn't matter all that much. Okay, I'm coming down here, coming back up. I'm squeezing my bottom on the way up. Your glutes are some of the most powerful extensors in your legs, and so we want to utilize those and squeeze it on the way up, okay? I'm not forcing that hip thrust, but it's a gentle squeeze of both my butt cheeks. So again, coming down, pushing back up through my heels, squeezing the butt at the top. My neck isn't arched forward, my neck isn't looking up, it's in that nice neutral position. Again, we're going for 12 to 15 plus of this specific exercise. So I'll do a couple more to show you. Go down, squeeze, go down, squeeze, okay? In regards to knees staying behind the toes, my mentality is if you can, great. If you can't, it's not a huge deal. It might put a little bit more stress on your knees, but it's not going to make or break. It's not the end of the world. Again, do what's comfortable for you with the tools that you have right now. let's say in a year, when you work on that mobility, that flexibility, if you can keep those knees behind the toes, awesome. Keep doing it. But don't think that it's a golden rule that you have to do this. Yeah. Okay, now we're off to the plyometrics for day one. So we use plyos for those powerful movements. So the key with plyometrics is we create the force by going as quick as we can off the ground. So let's see, we're going to start with a double leg plyo, very basic, onto the box. We're jumping on. As soon as I jump off, I'm trying to jump as fast as I can off the ground to create that force back onto the box. This is great for, you know, if you're on a board or skis, going off of any type of jump and creating that pop. So we're creating that power, that force. As we're coming down, we're jumping as quickly as we can back onto the box. Once you're on the box, you can stay there as long as you need. But as soon as you jump down, you're jumping as fast as you can back up onto the box. And I'll show you here. So again, we're starting with double leg here. So you can get as close or as far away as you need. I'm jumping on the box. Okay, I can stay here. I can extend if I need to, or I can stay in a nice kind of static squat position. I'm going to jump down and jump back up as fast as I can. Okay, so we've done the double leg, and I didn't mention before, again, we want 12 to 15 of those. Single leg, same thing, 12 to 15. This is going to be tough though, so do the best that you can. Sorry, I'm still out of breath from doing that one. So, same thing here. The box that I'm using is about half the size, just because for most of us, single leg is not going to be as powerful. You can control the height as needed. So, again, these are Rogue. This is like the Mercedes-Benz of gym equipment, but it can be anything. It could be a tree, a broken tree or something, or whatever. So again, you can stack a bunch of boxes up. Just be careful. Make sure you have kind of a clear runway for everything. But it's the same thing here. We're jumping up single leg. As soon as I jump back down, we're hopping back up. Okay, so I'll show you here. Right leg first, up. So you notice how I stayed in that kind of sustained squat position. We don't want a hard landing, so we want to keep our knees slightly bent as we jump on, as we jump off. If my knee is locked out every time, it's really harsh on those structures, especially if you already have previous injury. So again, utilize that glute. That's what it was made for. When you're extending, the reason we did those ski thrusters in the beginning was to activate that thing. So use it what it was made for. So as we're jumping off, we're extending, using that hip hinge, pushing forward and driving up off the ground. So again, hopping on, hopping off, we're jumping as fast as we can, back up onto the box. Okay, so last plyo of the day. This is number 3. Essentially what we're doing is we're just doing hurdle jumps side to side. You can also do it forward and back. Okay, so it's just as fast as we can. Again, we're just creating force by jumping back and forth. Okay? So just like it looks, again, you can use anything. You can use a piece of tape, it doesn't matter. We have this nice fancy hurdle here. Let's give it a go. So again, this one you could probably hit that 20 mark, so 10 on each side. So here we go. Okay, you get the idea, and then I can go forward and back. Okay, so now we move on to the lumbopelvic strengthening, or core activation strengthening. So my favorite, and essentially what you'll see kind of a pattern with, is a plank. You can do this a number of ways. I like the plank because, specifically in snowboarding, you're kind of stuck in that core activation for minutes at a time. So it's very relevant to the mountain. Okay, so I'm going to go down here. So the thing with this is we want to maintain protraction with our scapula, so kind of pushing our scapula out, our wings out, and maintaining a slight kind of squeeze in our glutes, okay, to kind of bring that pelvis back. It's going to make things a little bit harder, especially because if we keep our core activated, it's also going to bring our pelvis backwards. So we'll start with kind of the basic plank here. What we can do to make it harder though is I'll show you. I'll start reaching forward with my arms. So again, make this mountain ready. If you are on average, just think about it roughly, if you're on a run for 1 minute at a time, do it for a minute. If you're doing runs for 3 minutes at a time, work up towards holding it for 3 minutes. So here we go. I'll just show you the technique here. Feet are shoulder width apart. So my shoulder blades aren't retracted, they're protracted here. Slight squeeze in the bottom. My neck is in this nice neutral position here. Okay. So again, let's just try this one for 60 seconds, or I'll have you try it for 60 seconds. If you need to make it harder, what we can do is we can add the arm reach in. And again, it's a nice, smooth transition. I'm not rocking back and forth, you know. I have to keep my core nice activated as I reach. Okay, last move of day one. It is a core strengthening move. It is a reverse plank, or no, sorry, reverse crunch. Many of you may have seen this. One of the myths of core strengthening is a couple of things. One is kind of fat spot treatment, so people think that you can focus on one area and burn the fat. It doesn't work like that. And the other thing is kind of isolating these core muscles. It's very difficult, so can it be done? Yes, but it takes a lot of experience. So the plank that we used was very specific. It's kind of that long sustained endurance. This one is more of just that muscle building, strengthening side of things. So with this one, we're lying back. Okay, hands are by our sides, legs are up to 90 degrees. And essentially, we're going backwards. So my back stays on, upper back stays on the mat. Legs come down. Knees come up. Low back comes off the bed. This one we're aiming for that 15 to 20 rep range. We can go a little bit higher, but you should be able to feel it after that 15 mark. So, okay, that was one set. All of those moves with one set. So I'd like to see you do 2 more sets for a total of 3. If you can hit that 4 or 5, you're a magician. You're Superman. You're Superwoman. But yeah, that's day one. Enjoy.